Hello, hello. So today I'm going to be filming a video about all of my nursing school essentials, if you will. I hate saying that because a lot of the stuff is not essential. It's just nice to have or fun to have. But these are all the things that I used the most throughout nursing school and that I would recommend that you get before nursing school. I know that before I started, I didn't know anything about anything, and I had no idea what I needed to buy, what I would use, what I wouldn't use. And so I watched a ton of videos like this to kind of prepare me and get an idea of what I needed. Pretty much all this stuff is from Amazon. I think there's like one thing that's not, but I'll have it all linked in my storefront. There's a separate section for, I think it's titled like nursing school supplies or something like that, where you guys can find all of the stuff and more that I didn't even include in this video so that it wasn't a million years long. But yeah, I have a lot of stuff to talk about already, so I'm just going to go ahead and dive right in. So I'm going to start off talking about like study materials and things that really helped me like learn and study for exams and whatnot. So the first thing I'm going to talk about are these anatomy and physiology cards. I used these in my anatomy and physiology class, obviously, which was actually a prerequisite to get into nursing school. So that's when these came in handy, was in that class. And these are all color coded by like different sections and whatnot, like the skeletal system, endocrine system, so on and so forth. So it makes it really easy if you're having an exam over a specific area. It makes it super easy to study whatever topic you need. So I really love those. Another couple of books. I can't remember if these were required for us to buy or not, but if they're not required, I would recommend you get them anyways, because they were super helpful. The first one is the Davis's Drug Guide for Nurses, and this is the 18th edition, but I'm sure they're all fine. And this came in super handy in pharmacology, of course, but also doing care plans, which even saying the word care plans makes me want to throw up because, God, I hated doing care plans. I'm so glad I don't have to do any more of those. So, but yeah, these pretty much has like every single bit of information that you ever need to know about a medication. So it came in super helpful. Another one that I mainly used for care plans were the Nursing Diagnosis or Diagnoses Handbook, an evidence-based guide to planning care. It looks like this, and this has all the different like nursing diagnoses. I hate saying that, diagnosis. You know what I mean. It has all of them listed, and then like it has recommendations for interventions and client outcomes and all that kind of stuff. So it's super helpful for when you're doing care plans or concept maps or whatever your school calls it. Another thing that's a little bit more niche, I knew that I wanted to go into aesthetic nursing after nursing school, and that's not something that's really taught in nursing school. You don't get any clinical experience or anything like that. So I did a lot of my own, like reaching out to job shadow, online like training courses, reading books, watching podcasts, just to learn that side of nursing because I knew that's what I really wanted to do. So a couple of the books that I used to study are the Fundamentals for Cosmetic Practice, Toxins, Fillers, Skin, and Patients by Michael Parker. This book is awesome. It kind of breaks down a little bit of everything. It's not super detailed, but it's a good like introductory book, I would say, for injections and like aesthetic nursing. It talks about different complications, different injecting techniques, stuff like that. So it's very helpful. And then Anatomy of Facial Expressions, which is another really helpful one. Facial anatomy is like the main thing that I've been studying other than like what's required of me for nursing school. And this book helps a lot, not only to learn the facial anatomy, but also to learn like what muscle does what, and if you put Botox in it, what's it going to do. So yeah, those are super helpful. Oh, God, it's hot in here. Okay, next let's talk about organization, because that is one of the toughest things in nursing school, is trying to keep everything structured and knowing when to be where, when everything is due, that kind of stuff. So I probably went a little overboard, but it's because I can be forgetful, and I'm also very self-critical, and I never wanted to miss an assignment or anything. So I actually had like a notebook style planner, and then I had like a desk calendar, and then I also have a dry erase calendar that I keep in the laundry room, so I would like see it when I would be, you know, doing laundry. So this is what my desk calendar looks like. This might be the only thing that's not from Amazon in this entire video. This one's actually from Etsy, but I'll try to find a similar one on Amazon, and I'll also link this one from Etsy below, just because I know Amazon's a little bit more convenient. And then this is the planner I used. It's super basic, kind of plain. It's called Time Works Wonders, and it has this little strap to keep it closed. And I liked this one because it breaks it down. Like, you have the broad, I don't know if that's focusing or not. These lights are so bright, it's hard to see. But it has like the overall month, and then it also breaks it down into weeks and days. But if you aren't typically a planner person, you're pretty much going to have to be in nursing school. Like, if you made it through nursing school without a planner, I don't know how you did it. Because I would have probably failed without my planner. And then I'll try to insert a picture of the dry erase calendar, but it's also super helpful. I recommend it. Even when I'm not in nursing school, I still fill it out and just write like people's birthdays or special events or whatever, just so I don't miss anything. But I still miss stuff. So next thing are these little notebooks. These come in all different colors. They come in more colors than just this, but these are just the ones that I grabbed. These are awesome to keep in your pocket for clinicals. They fit perfectly in your scrub pocket, and these are awesome just to jot down little notes. That way you can just stay prepared. You can write down like vital signs, write down, you know, I don't know, whatever you need to write down. These came in super handy in clinical, and I use these for literally every single clinical shift that I have. So highly recommend getting some little notebooks like that. In the same kind of realm, I'm pretty sure that every single person in my cohort had one of these that are like similar to this. It's honestly kind of a necessity. I don't know how you would get by without having one of these when you're in clinical, because I know for my school, and I'm sure most other schools, you have to carry a lot of paperwork on you when you're at clinical. And you guys can learn from my mistake here, because before I started nursing school, I bought one of these huge, like, clipboard style. It opens up like this, and then it has all of these, like, lab values, like insulin information, vital signs, EKG information, tons of information on here, but all of these that I'm going to talk about do. I don't recommend getting one like this because it's massive. And so it's really hard to carry around with you when you're in the hospital, because you usually have your hands full. You're usually doing like 10 things at once. And not to mention, so if you're leaving these out at the nurse's station, then you're risking a HIPAA violation, like leaving people's information out in the open for anyone to look at. But if you're taking it into the patient's room, then you're risking cross-contamination, because I know for me, I always wanted to carry as little things in and out of a room as possible, because you have to sterilize, like your stethoscope. If you have your stethoscope around your neck or in your pocket, you have to sterilize that every time you come in and out of a room, so that you're not bringing anything to the next person in the other room that you're going to go to. So it's just another thing to tote around. It's easy to leave lying around too if you're having to carry it like in your hand. So that's a lot to say. I really don't recommend getting a huge one like this. It seemed like a good idea at the time, but it didn't really work out for me. So after I decided that that one wasn't a good idea, I bought one like this, which I felt like this would be perfect, and I did use this for, I know I used it for at least a semester, maybe 2 semesters, but it was kind of the same situation. For my scrubs that we had to wear, these wouldn't fit in the pocket, and so I still had to carry it around, and it was just really inconvenient. So I ended up, I think it was my last semester, I ended up getting one of these, and these are just a lot smaller, so it fits in your pocket and it's a lot easier to carry around. has a strap like this. It still has all of the lab values and information and stuff. And then it has a clip for you to put all your papers in, and then you just tri-fold it all up. So my advice would be to just start off buying one of these because they're a lot handier and easier to use when you're in the clinical side. So next thing is a stethoscope case. I'm pretty sure I was like the only one in my cohort that had one of these. So these really aren't necessary if you don't want one. The only reason I liked it is because, well, a couple reasons. It has extra storage in here. So like you can see, I kept my little pen lights and just pens and random things in here. And then also a couple pairs of these shears, which are another thing that you're going to need for nursing school if they're not like giving you one. Anyways, these are an absolute necessity, especially when you're on clinical. You never want to be that student when your nurse is like, hey, do you have one of these on you? And you have to say no. So it's better to be over prepared than under prepared. But yeah, it just has all this extra storage in here, which I liked. And also, so like I said, you're sterilizing your stethoscope anytime that you use it on a patient or go in and out of a room, hopefully. And then I would also wipe it down at the end of every shift before I went home. But you never know what creepy crawlers can still be living on it. And I didn't really like the idea of my stethoscope just floating around in my clinical bag. So I like to just put it in here to kind of isolate it and keep it away from everything else in my bag. It's probably extra. Like I said, it's not a necessity, but I used mine a lot. Okay, next I'm going to talk about these blue light glasses that I used. I have never been a believer in blue light glasses until nursing school because when I was sitting in lecture all day staring at my laptop and then I would come home and study until nighttime, I was literally just staring at my laptop or my phone all day and I would get the worst headache. So I started to use these blue light glasses when I would study at home and sometimes in class. Mine are probably really dirty. There's kind of a glare, but these were honestly super helpful to prevent getting headaches because honestly I don't really know the science behind it, but they do work and I got a ton of use out of mine and I didn't think that I would. So now I'm a believer. These are actually, I don't know that these have blue light protection. I think they do. But these have the little eye protection on the side. I think these are called stoggles maybe. I'm not really for sure. But they just look like cute, like normal little glasses from the front. But then they actually are goggles too in case you're in like a droplet precaution room or somewhere that you need to wear goggles. Maybe you're in a lab, whatever. They're nice to have on hand. Again, not completely necessary, but I did use mine quite a bit. So another thing are just these cute little badge reels. My school had a badge reel like included with our uniform, and I'm sure most schools probably do, but anytime I could like spice up my like scrubs and like my school uniform, I did because I just get tired of wearing the same thing every day, and those scrubs were like pretty busted, honestly. So this one's just a cute little like boho, and it came in a pack of several, I'm pretty sure. I'll have all this linked on my storefront or like just down below in the description. But yeah, they're just really cute and kind of to change things up a little bit. Next thing. When you're in nursing school, you pretty much have to have your hair up like all the time. And I have a lot of hair and it's really heavy, so I always get headaches if I wear my hair up for too long. So my recommendation, if you also have that same issue, is to buy a ton of really cute little fun claw clips because I think they look cuter than just having your hair up like normal. And they don't give me headaches as bad as like a regular ponytail does. Another thing are these little slip hair bows. They're really stretchy and they're silky, so they don't pull and tug on your hair. So it kind of prevents breakage. And I found that these don't give me headaches as bad as regular hair bows do because they're not as like tight and like pulling at your hair. Okay, next, you have to have a watch when you're in clinical or when you're in lab. So if your school allows it, I would recommend doing like a smartwatch, like the Apple Watch or whatever, just because they're a lot more handy. You can do a lot more things on them, set timers for medications or whatever. But we were not allowed to use smartwatches, so I used just this little guy. It's just a plain, I don't know if you can see that or not. But it's just a plain little watch, but it also has the military time on it, which is so helpful because I still have to like think pretty hard about military time. It just doesn't come natural. So that was really nice to have. Okay, next thing is this cute little pencil pouch. This is another one that's kind of extra, but it's cute and it's a good way to store all your pencils and stay really organized. So I just have my little highlighters in here. I also kept my pens and pencils back here. I have some whiteout and some extra lead for my pencils. What does this say? Be young, be unique, special. You are 1 in a million. How are you going to tell somebody to be young? That don't make any sense. Okay, anyways, I never read that before, but it's still cute. Love it, love it. Alright, we're almost done, y'all, I promise. Next thing is compression socks. Wear your compression socks. Even if you, like any job where you have to stand up for long periods of time, like waitressing, I don't know, anything like that. Compression socks are awesome because they're going to keep you from getting varicose veins and make sure that blood stays flowing in your legs and feet. So we had to wear plain white socks, but they also have really fun ones with cute little pictures and stuff on them. Wear your compression socks. Okay, next thing is this little lunch container. I tried to pack my lunch as much as possible for like days where I was going to be in lecture all day or where I was going to be in the hospital all day. And these things are awesome because this little top comes off and then you have 1 compartment, 2 compartments, and then a little separation thing. And then another compartment, and it comes with a little spoon and fork. So cute. I use this a lot when I was in nursing school, or if you just need to pack your lunch in general for anything. I also recommend getting a lunchbox if you don't already have one. The one I have is just plain and beige. I can also put it in my storefront. Next thing I'm going to recommend are ear plugs, especially if you have ADD or ADHD and you get really distracted. I used these a ton when I was home studying or even in the library studying. You're on campus during exams sometimes. They're just really nice to have on hand, especially if you're somebody who gets distracted easily. Okay, last thing I'm going to talk about, or at least the last few things that I have here in front of me, I have a few on my phone, are bags. So the first one is this little black Lululemon backpack. This one's a little bit smaller, so I use this one for my clinical bag. I like to have a separate clinical bag from my backpack that I took to lecture, just because I would keep all my necessities for clinical in this bag, and then I would keep all my necessities for lecture in another bag, and that way I wasn't constantly having to switch everything back and forth. It just makes your life a lot easier. So really any smaller bag will work, but I do really like this cute little Lululemon one. It's pretty basic, honestly. It has a few little extra pockets and stuff. And then the next one I have is this little bag. The brand is Himawari. Himawari. It's probably not right. But I think this is just the cutest little backpack. I got a ton of compliments on this. And it has a ton of little pockets. It also has one of these little USB things where you can charge your phone. It has a little laptop case inside. It's just the ultimate bag, and I love how it opens up like this because you can fit a ton of crap in there. This is the bag that I used for lecture that I would put all my books and laptop and all that kind of stuff in. Okay, that's everything that I have here in front of me. Let me see if I have anything that I want to talk about that I don't have with me. I need a little sippy sip first though. Okay, so I just have a few things left that I want to mention. A good pair of shoes for your clinicals and your labs, and I recommend that you only wear these to clinical and lab because, like everyone knows, there's tons of little germy germs in the hospital, and you don't want to come tracking like C. diff or something nasty in on your family or somewhere else. So I recommend getting one of those plastic like bins of some sort. Keep it in your car. Get a good pair of nursing shoes that are comfortable, preferably waterproof and slip resistant. The ones I have are the white leather Hokas. I'll put them up somewhere. And they're not the cutest. I know that Hokas are like trendy, especially if you're like in the South. these are honestly pretty ugly. They're not like a trendy shoe. They're really honky chunky, but they were a great nursing shoe. They're comfortable. They keep you from getting any kind of nasty little fluids on your feet, and they're slip resistant. Oh, but what I was saying, keep a plastic bin in your car, and then when you leave the hospital, take your shoes off, put them in that plastic bin. Extra points if you keep some Clorox spray in your car and spray them down before you put them in the bin, and then change into like sandals or something for you to wear home, and then just keep those shoes in that plastic bin until you're going into the hospital or whatever. So yeah, that's my tip to you. Next is to keep hand sanitizer on you, because you're going to come in contact with a lot of nastiness, and you don't want to catch anything, and you don't want to spread anything to, you know, your classmates, your family, to other patients. So always keep some hand sanitizer on you. I know there's hand sanitizer in the hospital, but it's also nice to just keep some in your bag too. The brands that I like, I'm not even going to try to pronounce them, but they're listed on my storefront. So our school, we had a stethoscope that was like included in our tuition, I guess, that everybody got at the beginning of the semester. But it's not the best stethoscope, and I know a lot of the students in my class got their own like separate stethoscope that's better quality. I know the best ones that I've heard are the Littmans and the MDF brand. I think Littman more so than MDF from what I've heard. But I'll have some of those linked as well in case your school requires you to buy your own stethoscope. Another thing that I highly recommend is getting a huge water bottle. I know in my last Amazon video I talked about how I don't like the huge like 40-ounce Stanley style cups, but that is what I use for nursing school, because you're sitting in lecture all day or you're at 12-hour clinical shifts, and you don't want to be constantly filling up your water bottle. You don't even have time to constantly fill up your water bottle. So the bigger the better, honestly. So I carried the 40-ounce like Simply Modern one, but the Stanley Cup is great too. And then also there's, I think, a Hydro Flask. I think Hydro Flask makes a 40-ounce one. So whatever you prefer, but definitely get a huge water bottle because you want to make sure that you're staying super hydrated. Okay, so yeah, I guess that's all I had to talk about. These are all of my most used things for nursing school that I recommend that you get. Not all of these are essential. I know it can be super overwhelming, like, oh my god, I just spent all this money to get into nursing school and now I have to buy all this crap. But I would say to start small. You might find that you're not somebody who would benefit from some of this stuff. So I would just buy the things that you know that you're going to have, and then just kind of buy the rest as you go. I was going to throw some tips to kind of get through nursing school, how I made it through nursing school, things that I wish that I would have done different, study tips, things like that. I was going to throw a few of those at the end of this video, but this video is already pretty long, so if you want a separate video where I talk about all my tips for nursing school, then just leave a comment, shoot me a DM, something like that. But that is all I have for you guys. So if you enjoyed it, please like it, subscribe, ring the bell, comment, do all the things, and I'll see you guys in the next one.